Resh Mem Bet, Chayé Moharan. ברוך הבא, רב מוישה. מעניין שיכול לעשות אנדרסניה. Andresnya in Yiddish means an appeal. You know that there could be sometimes a court case, and there could even be a judgment, and there could be a psak against the person, that the person is liable, he's chayev, he's guilty, he has to pay. And then there's some, there is an appeal. We want to appeal the decision. We want to appeal to a new system, a new court, to revisit, to rejudge, to take into account different considerations. When you're a little bit involved in the court system, you realize how crazy it is. It's really ridiculous. I have a person calling me that they're going through a very serious court case against them, and you hear it's like, I know the person, a righteous, tzaddik person, and you see how foolish the system is, and how crooked it is. And how just on a whim of a person, the decision of a judge or a prosecutor could say something, or even like some evidence, it's all a joke. It's really a joke. So many times you got to appeal. That's here, it's a joke. And even it's not such a big joke, because really the decision that the courts made here is really Hashem deciding. And but sometimes there's a judgment in heaven, and that judgment in heaven, it's emes. But how can you get an appeal over there? So Rabbeinu said you can do such an appeal. So this is really, he can actually send it to the king himself. He can send an appeal to the king. Small claims court, a bigger court, Supreme Court, government court, I don't know what the name is. And then you have the courts then you have the king himself, a pardon. Trump gave a pardon to Rabashkin. Rabbeinu said, when I have a person and he has a din on him and he has a problem, I'm able to bypass all the courts and send my request straight to the king. It's a sichot haran. And Rabbeinu says, when you see him burning a paper, that's what he's doing. He's taking a paper, he's burning it, he's sending it straight to Hashem. And there he said that you got to know exactly how, in a few words, to give all the honor to the king and to request your request in an eloquent way that's with the right, phrasing the request in such a way that it's going to be accepted by the king. Rabbeinu said he's able to do that. So this sikha is talking about that sikha. V'amar az, sheze ma she'atem ro'im shelefamim. Here it's written. Ani kotev ze davar v'soref. I write something on a paper and I burn it. אני שולח הדבר על ידי העשן. I'm sending it through the smoke. ורבי שמעון בר יוחאי בזוהר רימז קצת מזה בזוהר. Rabbi Shimon spoke about this a little bit in the Zohar, not much. Even over here, in the notes he says, we don't even know which Zohar Rabbeinu is talking about. That means that Rabbeinu really understood the Zohar, that Rabbi Shimon is really talking about this. Either way, what are we talking about here? This is called a pidyon nefesh. When you do a pidyon with the tzaddik, it's not a regular thing. The tzibah is able to bypass all the courts, and Rabbeinu said over there, if I remember one sichot haran, I don't know how the tzaddikim do pidyon, because there are 24 courts in Shamayim. And if you don't know which court the person is being judged in, and you don't know all the courts, so you could send to the wrong case. You're sending a bribe to the judge. So you send to the wrong judge. You got to know all the different types of courts, and you got to know the pidyon for all of them. And he says, so if you don't know that, how can you have the audacity to take a pidyon nefesh? And even us, when Bresler was made, we take a pidyon. Many times we're just doing an adat rabbeinu. It's as if you give money to a Bresler, to a Bresler yeshiva. So it's like you're giving to the Rebbe. So we're hoping that Rabbeinu himself is going to take the pidyon. There was a big admur. He became a Breslever. And as soon as he became a Breslever, he stopped taking pidjonot. So he used to take them and put them in Likutei Moharan. And in the old door, they used to take the pidyon nefesh, they used to take the name, and they used to put it in the Likutei Moharan. That Rabbeinu, you're taking care of it. And then Rabbeinu says that I know all the 24, and if I'm not happy with any one of the judgments, if I'm not happy, because it could keep going from court to court, if I'm not happy, so I go to the king himself, I go to the Kisar himself, and I take care of it. That is the pidyon nefesh of Rabbeinu. Just to mechazik you on something else, is that Rabbeinu said in the Chayé Moharan that pigeon, that chatzot is misugan kemo pigeon. That there is waking up in the middle of the night, which is a hard work. To wake up and to be awake, and to be awake those 2 hours, and to do Avodat Hashem in those 2 hours, Rabbeinu said it's misugan like a pigeon. And Anash Medayek, that's like the pigeon agadon. So the highest hamtaka that you can do is that type of hamtaka. So a person has difficulties that he's going through, so you give a pigeon to Rabbeinu. How you can do it, we'll say in a second. Or you can wake up in the middle of the night. It's also a pigeon to Rabbeinu. You know that the tzaddikim, they use our Avodat Hashem. Rabbeinu said, you just have to bring the bricks and I'm going to make the building. When you're connected to a tzaddik, the tzaddik can use your avodah. You don't even know what you're doing. But you're giving him bricks, you're giving him cement, and he can make an edifice of Bet HaMikdash with that. There is in the Gemara that says that Abai and Rava used to receive heavenly messages from heaven. Once every week, and once every Erev Yom Kippur. And I think it was Abai getting every week, and Rava was getting every Erev Yom Kippur. Could be mistaken. And Rava had a Charishut Adat. Rava was a little bit broken that he's not getting a message every day, every week like Abai. So the Gemara says that Rava, you shouldn't be upset because your merit is protecting the whole city. You don't get the spiritual high from your avodah, but it's actually protecting the whole city. The harm should not come to the city. In other words, what you see over here is sometimes you could be doing something and you don't see the results personally. You don't see what it's doing for you. You don't feel that holiness, and you don't feel like Ruach HaKodesh, and you don't feel, you just did it, and the tzaddik said to do it, and you don't feel a thing. So it could be like that for Hashem. So the tzaddik takes the avodah of Hashem. So you have one Oved Hashem, he's Oved Hashem all day, all night, and he doesn't really see high levels. And the other one is going and flying and attaining. Well, it's the same thing with a tzaddik. When you're kosher to a tzaddik and you're doing avodah Hashem, be kosher to the tzaddik, so the tzaddik can take your avodah and do a pigeon. And the Rabbeinu said once he used the fasts of a certain Talmid to attain a certain level. So everything you do, you're actually doing a pigeon nefesh to tzaddik if you are doing a dat tzaddik. So bichlal chatzot is et ratzon, where it's a time where we're taking away all the dinim on the person. And if you do it on pi dat tzaddik, it's something next level. And I'll tell you what it says in Parpol Chokhmah Dalet, on Torah Dalet, where there it speaks about 3 ways of coming close to the tzaddik. And each one helps you with a different level. So one way is seeing the tzaddik. And that takes away sadness and takes away desires for this world. Then you give money to the tzaddik, that's taking away dvarim betelim and atzlut, wasting time and laziness. You know, there's so much to do in this life. You have time to waste time. And then the 3rd level is when you do vidui dvarim to the tzaddik. So then he tells you where you're supposed to be in your life, where you're supposed to go, what your specific mission is. You can't do everything. Some people want to do everything, they do nothing. Take something. The successful people, focused in on one thing that they feel that is for them, and they went all the way with it, and they're matzliach. So the tzaddik sort of gives you that. Here's your path. That's very nice when the tzaddik's alive. You see him, you give him a pigeon nefesh, and you talk to him. But what do you do today? So the Papaut says, seeing the tzaddik is the Torah of the tzaddik. Chokhmat adam ta'ir panav. When you're learning the Torah, like we're doing now, we're living it. The Chayé Moharan, the Sichot Haran, the Likutei Moharan, like we're doing now. So that's the seeing the tzaddik. You can see the face of the tzaddik. If you don't know what's going on in his mind, so it's not really seeing him. Then giving tzedakah to the tzaddik, says over there, giving to his children, to his talmidim, to his inyanim. When you print the books, when you give to the shul, when you give to the kol Breslov, when you give to somebody going to Uman, Rabbeinu said to come to Uman, so you're giving to the tzaddik. So you just now did a pigeon nefesh to the tzaddik. And then when you said like this, when you've done those things, and you go to do it bodedut, al pi the tzaddik, because the tzaddik said to speak to God every day, so now you're speaking to God bitkashut the tzaddik. So then the thoughts that fall in your mind during the bodedut is like the tzaddik telling you, it's like a Ruach HaKodesh. So you see from here that you can actually be connected to the tzaddik, and give to the tzaddik, even though there's not a tzaddik here. So doing what he said is like giving to him. And giving him money to his inyan is also like giving to the tzaddik. And all the tikkunim start there. So Rabbeinu said over here, pigeon nefesh. We can do a pigeon to Rabbeinu. You can do a pigeon to Rabbeinu. You can do a chatzot laila. So bottom line was, sometimes you're going through a hardship. Sometimes you have difficulty on you. Sometimes you have things, everything's stuck. So wake up in the middle of the night, sleep early, wake up, do your Avodat Hashem 2 hours, go back to sleep, pray for what you need in that moment. That's the way to get a pigeon. If you want to give money to Rabbeinu and money to something of the tzaddik, the talmidim, the ones that are teaching, the shiurim, the shuls, all those things, that's also at stuck at the tzaddik. And Rabbeinu says over here that he can go all the way high, the highest place to take away all the dinim. Ken Yiratzon.